Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Improve Podcast, the official podcast of Classic Studios. I'm your host, Chase Collins, and it has been a minute. It's been almost a month since my last episode, and I apologize for that. I wanted it to be just like maybe a little bit of a gap, and then it turned into a much bigger gap than I was anticipating. So I'm going to address all of that and more in this episode. Very excited to share with you all what I've been up to these last couple of weeks. Just because I ain't been posting doesn't mean I ain't been doing stuff, which is a really funny thing to say. But let's roll this intro music and I'll be right back for this episode. We're going to talk about the editing stuff that I've been working on for the screenplays and all of that goodness. Be right back.
Improve Podcast. Improve Podcast. Improve Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So the last time you all heard from me, I was in the middle of sort of like outlining the process for editing the script, my first screenplay that I wrote, and I was in the middle of creating a plan for like how I was going to approach editing. And throughout like the last script that I was writing, of course I have thoughts about my old projects, and I would just write it in a little note on my notes app on my phone, and it turned into like a mess. I had like 1,000 notes with 100 different points to address, and then of course I got feedback from all of my family, and so I spent a lot of time aggregating all of that and organizing and categorizing all of the notes into in order and everything like that, and that took a couple of weeks to do. And then I finally figured out, okay, what am I going to implement right now? What am I going to implement after all the major changes? What's going to happen after that? And there's just layers and layers and layers and layers of editing in the process, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and so it just kept snowballing, I guess, and turned into this thing that's like a lot, and it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of work and dedication, and like I'm really enjoying it. It's been a ton of fun. Like I love writing. I really like editing, I guess, apparently, because it's that refinement process of turning this rough draft into like a polished product, and that's like a really gratifying experience. So I'm just really enjoying all of this time. It's been 3 weeks. I think the last episode I posted was on the 28th of March, or is it 27th or something like that, and now it's the 22nd of April. It's crazy. It's been like a whole month. I can't believe it, and like the time just flew by, and I was just working on my screenplay this whole time. So that's been a lot of fun. The first thing that I wanted to do when rewriting was actually finish the script. I said that I wanted, because there's a musical element to this screenplay, and so there's a couple of songs that I need to write that these characters will sing, and I hadn't written a couple of them because they were like not important or whatever. And so that was my first job, was to write the screenplay or finish the screenplay, and I like immediately gave up on that idea because these songs are like hard to write. I don't know why I'm having such a difficult time writing these songs, and it's been that way since the beginning. There's 3 songs that I've already written for the script, and they were hard to write. Like it wasn't an easy thing to do. The screenplay was easier to write than the songs, which was so funny because I've written like hundreds of songs, so I didn't expect that to be the most difficult part of the rewrite process or screenwriting process. So that's been a challenge, but like I'm not going to beat myself up over it or let myself like just stand still and not make progress until I finish these songs. So I kind of just like tabled them, right? Just like, okay, let me put a pin in that. I know where the songs are going to be. I know about what they're going to cover. I know who's going to be singing them. It's just a matter of like actually coming up with like a catchy melody or a line that I think could work as a chorus, and all those things are just a struggle to write right now. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with like different creative ways to inspire lyrics, I guess, or inspire a song, that songwriting muscle. And so I want to maybe like like buy a guitar, which sounds maybe a little rash for someone who's like a screenwriter. Okay, buy a guitar to help with that, but it would help with my songwriting, and I want to learn how to play anyways, not for like personally, but just to help me write these freaking songs. So whatever, I'm getting desperate, you can tell. I also want to start, playing in front of the piano and just working on different ways to get these songs written. So whatever, that's enough about songs. I'm not focusing on them right now. I'm really like focusing on getting the main story written well and in a way that's like clear and makes sense, and it's the story that I want to tell, and it covers the themes that I think are important for this story, and the characters actually have like some transformation. They're not just characters going through a series of events. They're, real people who change and learn and grow. So it's like a lot of work to make sure all of that weaves together. And also, like, I'm struggling with a couple of things like I'm already picking up while I'm writing is like, oh man, just a lot. And like I had some thoughts about this. I wrote this on my Twitter the other day. It was like, I don't feel like I'm writing the best version of this script. I feel like I'm writing the most comprehensive version of this script, and that's okay, I think, for right now. I'm hopeful that like one day I can go back and chip away at this huge comprehensive behemoth of a movie and turn it into like a nice polished screenplay that's like really tight and it says exactly what I want to say and all of that. So I'm really hopeful that I'm doing the right thing. I could just be like creating a lot more work for myself, and I think a better screenwriter or someone who's more experienced would be able to filter out ideas better, right? Like I am in the process of rewriting this script. There's like 120 pages, and as I'm reading it and as I'm thinking about where these characters are in the scene, I'm like, oh, well, let's add this, or let's add this subplot, and like, oh, that would be a good idea. Oh, what's her relationship with her mother or this character or her father or whatever, and how does it weave into, how does that affect her dialogue? How does that affect her decision making and the plot of the story? And like, okay, well, let's add this in, let's keep this, you can tell I'm just adding and adding and adding and adding to make sure that like I'm leaving no stone left unturned, which it's like on the surface I feel very like, yes, like I'm making sure every idea is accounted for, I'm not missing out anything, but that's creating its own problems. And so that's something I'm gonna have to like face in the future. I think is like, yeah, Chase, you did a great job like spending a lot of time getting every single possible idea into this script, but only 50% of those ideas are actually worth keeping, and I'll have to cut out all of those later, so, and I guess it's good that like I recognize that now, and I won't be shocked when people say like, oh yeah, this part didn't work for me. It's like, yep, that part didn't really make sense to begin with. I'm gonna cut out that entire like subplot or something, whatever it turns out to be. So that's just something I've been learning while rewriting, I guess. And then there's more as well. Like one of my earlier like issues with the script was that the first act was like 40 pages long, which is way too long for a first act if you're familiar with the structures of like screenplays and stuff like that, or you've probably been listening to me say that 40 pages is just too long for the first act of a script. So I wanted to get that down closer to like 20 pages or 25 pages, and that's like 50% a 50% reduction in page length, so that's kind of a lot, or cutting it in half, so it's kind of a lot, right? And I don't know the exact page count of where I'm at in terms of the first act now. I haven't done a full page count yet, but I know I've definitely shrunk it down because I've cut out some like really big scenes, and I've combined a couple of scenes, or I've repurposed scenes to like better serve, in different places of the script. And I think I've shortened it a lot. Like I want to say it's really tight, a really tight first act. But now that my first act is so reduced, my like midway, my plot point, like my midpoint twist happens like, 30 minutes into the story. And it's like, whoa, that's way too fast for that to be happening. Like, I don't want my midpoint twist or like my pit of despair that my characters are in to happen at the very beginning of the movie or the first third of the movie, and they're like in this pit of despair for like 70% or 60% of the film. It's like, that's not what I'm going for either. So I know I'm gonna have to like maybe beef up the first half or the second act or something like that. I don't know. So that's another problem I know I'm gonna have to address as well. Something else that's kind of changed a lot, I guess, has sort of been theming, which was kind of like one of my strong points, I thought, in my first draft, in my second draft of this script. I thought the themes were like really important and, dare I say, like, well done. Maybe well done's not the best word, but I thought like I knew the theme of this story. That's what I'm trying to say. I knew the theme of this story, or I thought I did, going into it. And now that I'm taking a step back and like re-examining the story that these characters are in, the theme I realize is like totally different than what I thought it was, which is kind of odd, but it's like better. I think it's better, and it's more clear, and it's easier to convey on paper and hopefully on the screen that like the story I'm trying to tell. So that's been like a fun, revelation, I guess. It's like, oh, this is the thing I was trying to do before wasn't really working, and this new thing actually works really well. So I'm happy about that. And another thing is like, I'm also redefining these characters, and it's funny, I'm learning so much about myself as I write these screenplays and record these podcasts, but also as I listen to other screenwriting podcasts. I learn a lot about what other people do, and I try to reflect on like, oh, well, that's what they do. What do I do? And sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's different, and I'm learning about myself that like the thing that's most important to me is always story. If the story doesn't work, then none of it matters in my head. And so coming out of that, now that I have my story like really locked down, now I'm able to dive deep into like, okay, well, what does the world actually look like? What do these characters actually feel like? And how do they respond to this world? And how do they interact with the story? And how does that drive people? And so that's been fun to like just explore, I guess. And it's helped also by having like such a well-defined story, I'm able to go in and figure out like, well, what these characters I have, like, how can they better serve this story? How can they better serve this theming? Or how can the theming better serve the story? And so that's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun writing. So yeah, that's kind of like where I've been and what I've been doing for like the last 3-4 weeks. I've just been having a ton of fun writing, and that's kind of all I've wanted to do for like these last couple of weeks. So thank you all, I guess, for letting me sort of not worry about podcasting for a little bit. Just let me chill out and write. It's like my favorite thing in the world, and it's just a blast. So I really appreciate that. And I guess maybe I should even like clarify this or add on, like, I've just not been posting podcasts. Like, I've still been recording them with my friends. Like Elijah, I have so many updates for you all regarding Dawn and our short film. There's been like crazy developments with that. It's so exciting. I can't wait to share it all. And then like, of course, I've been recording with my cousin and everything like that. So, things are still happening. I'm just not posting about it. And but yeah, so I've just been working and writing and recording these podcasts and editing and planning my next project and thinking about the schedule for that and what that's going to be. And so I'm just super excited. I really want to finish this screenplay. It's coming up on the end of April. We have like a week left until April's over. I would love it if I could finish like the major structural edits like by this month, and then go in to like the nitty-gritty details of other like minutia. That would be great to spend on like May, and then finish that up, and then hopefully send it out for like my second round of reviews for like the people, which is crazy. Like now that I'm finished with this, I'm gonna send it out to more like a wider range of folks. So if you're listening and you want to read a screenplay and provide feedback, man, hit me up. Actually, like, not even kidding. I mean, if you're listening to this, you're probably one of the few who like would care enough to actually provide, you know, meaningful feedback. So hit me up on, you probably have my number. Shoot me a text or something, or reach out to me at theimprovepodcast@gmail.com. So yeah, I'm just like really enjoying myself, and I hope you all are like still working on things, even though I haven't been posting. I hope you're still working on all of your stuff. I'm gonna be back active. I won't say it's gonna be every week with a new episode, but at least every other week I'm gonna at least commit to that. And who knows, maybe it'll just be every other week for myself. Oh, that would be nice. What if I did like solo episodes every other week and then project episodes for like on those all off weeks? That could be something, because I really love these solo episodes. I don't know if you all like them, but I like just kind of talking to myself or talking to you. I like talking to you especially, but it's just me in a room alone, and I also like that. So it's just everything about it I love sharing my stories with y'all, and I love talking to myself. Damn, I'm going crazy. All right, I think that's everything for me, y'all. I'm gonna get back to working on these screenplays. I realized just like how big of a lunatic I sound like. I guess it's a writer thing. No, I don't know if it's a writer thing, but it's might not be the healthiest thing, but it's my thing. So we're hanging out. All right, y'all. I'll catch you later. Goodbye, everybody.